Okay, so I'm Michelle, and I'm with the Mount Rushmore Homeschool Drama Team. And our kids are going to do a dramatic reading of Walden. It is a play about Henry David Thoreau. And I'm going to read the opening just so you get an idea of what it's about. And then there'll be an audio track, so be sure to listen to that. There's just a couple facts in there, and then we'll just go right into it. The following play is an imaginary presentation of the final 2 days Henry David Thoreau spent in his cabin before leaving Walden Pond. He lived in Concord, Massachusetts in the mid-1800s. He lived while Mark Twain traveled the Mississippi in riverboats, and he died before Vincent van Gogh began painting in Europe. Thoreau was, in fact, a pencil maker and a surveyor by trade. He was a writer, an orator, and a naturalist. Ralph Waldo Emerson, his mentor and friend, was also a writer, an educator, and a former minister. He employed Thoreau as a tutor for his children and a handyman for his estate. Emerson purchased a small plot of land along the shores of Walden Pond, where Thoreau built a tiny cabin and spent 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days of his life. There is no factual record of the events of this play, although much of the dialogue between Thoreau and Emerson are actual quotes or composite quotes culled from the body of their literary work. An important historical fact referred to in the play happened in the early 1990s, as Walden Pond was being threatened by developers. Musician Don Henley of the rock group The Eagles helped establish the Walden Woods project that purchased the property to protect Thoreau's legacy. We present this play as a celebration of the earth, a celebration of nature, and an acknowledgement to America's greatest literary giant.
1847. A young man, 30 years old, has contemplated his life on this earth for the last 2 years and 2 months while living alone in a small cabin he built for $28. The cabin sits on a small plot of land along the shores of Walden Pond near Concord, Massachusetts, provided for his use by a trusted and wise friend named Ralph Waldo Emerson. The young man, a sincere but struggling author, would write in his journals every day and imagined that someday his experience alone in the woods would have meaning and importance. His name was Henry David Thoreau, and this is a play about the final 2 days in his cabin at Walden Pond.
Ah, such beauty. To be awake is to be alive. There, that's better. All creation awakes in the morning. Music and art are born at sunrise. I must write that down. Even better, I'll play my flute. I hunger for companionship. I shall make some garden snap beans. Like my wood pile, peas and beans keep me company. It is a communing and conversation with nature. I must write that down. Like my wood pile, peas keep me company. Dear God, you are having a conversation with peas and finding it intellectual.
Henry, my good friend.
Mr. Emerson, my teacher and brother.
Still talking to your vegetables, Henry?
I am finding a place in life with trees, the woods, even snap beans. We are all connected to the pulsing heartbeat of nature.
So, you're talking to peas again. Here, I brought you a basket of sweet corn from my wife's garden. Perhaps you can have a group meeting. My boy, you need a lady friend.
Nonsense. I find the solitude of this cabin stimulating.
Why not venture into town and meet a good woman? Let her snap her peas.
My log pile is like my woman.
And how is that possible?
Like a woman, it keeps me warm at night, cooks my meals, even engages in conversation as it crackles in the evening. Look, every man gazes upon his woodpile with affection. I love to stack my woodpile before my window. The fireplace fills my home with company, as if I had a cheerful housekeeper. My chimney tells the world that me and my woodfire live here.
I have a younger cousin, you know. You would like her.
I'm not crazy.
Of course not. How long have you lived alone out here? A year and a half now?
2 years, 2 months, and 1 day.
"2 years alone in these woods, living in your little $28 cabin, enjoying nature, communing with the woods, talking to vegetables. You need the embrace of a good woman." There's an attractive oak. Maybe you can go hug that tree.
Make fun if you need to. Have a good laugh if it brings you fulfillment. There's a spiritual and intellectual reason for my time in these woods.
My apologies, old friend. I'm supportive of you, truly. Although I find your life here a little odd and somewhat amusing.
There's nothing odd about it.
You hug trees and converse with vegetables. Seems completely sane and normal to me.
See, I've been writing. I've carefully recorded all my thoughts and musings, every morsel of emotion and reason between my spirit and this small, brilliant patchwork of earth.
In a world covered with mountains, trees, ponds, and peas, this is surely what society needs. A book about mountains, trees, ponds, and peas.
You sound like my father.
Does he still look for you at the pencil shop?
He does.
Does he provide you with these pencils? What a fine and practical writing instrument.
The finest.
You do realize your family kills trees to make the pencils?
Mr. Emerson, is the purpose of your visit simply to mock me?
Don't be so sensitive. I am one of the few who still care enough to check on you from time to time.
Well, I do appreciate your concern. Hopefully as a friend you will take me for what I am.
Henry, you have such intelligence and skill and passion. As much as you love it, I fear that you will pass from this earth unnoticed. All you do is write about dirt and ponds.
I have also written of society and man's attitudes and destruction of himself.
But it's not poetry, it's not a story, it's not a novel, it's barely an essay of social relevance.
Every artist dips his brush into his soul and paints his own nature into the canvas. I write the truth.
And will this truth provide employment? Will it buy a home to sustain you? Will it bring honor?
Mr. Emerson, rather than honor or money or fame, give me truth.
Here is your truth, dear Henry. At this rate, you will have achieved more recognition for helping your father market the lead pencil than for a single word you've written with it.
Then so be it. I cannot be convinced that I am irrelevant. If that is to be my legacy for my work, then so be it.
You surrender your fate too quickly. I fear you have wallowed in your loneliness amongst these bushes way too long.
To the contrary, I feel stronger in my loneliness. I understand the meaning of quiet and solitude. My isolation keeps me company.
My friend, hear me. You are talking to vegetables and trees instead of women.
You make my efforts seem so without purpose.
I do not question your intentions or motives. I'm only concerned about your eventuality.
And I'm concerned about the eventuality of society. I'm concerned about the world's abandonment of God.
Whoever that is.
And the nature that represents him. We head in a direction far from the Creator's intent.
And when did you begin speaking on behalf of this Creator? You would have us all living in the woods, in the cabin in the woods then.
In our hearts, yes.
So we abandon,
in our spirits, yes.
So we abandon progress. We abandon art and science and politics to hug trees instead?
Nonsense. I would remind men what the simple woods mean to real life. What it means to live quietly and away from the chaos of the cities.
I live in the city, so does your family.
And you have lost your sense of place in nature. That is why they cannot make sense of this cabin or this pond or this journal.
Compared to most people in this world, you're indeed an oddity.
I beat my drum to those who drum to different footsteps.
What?
My footsteps. They're in rhythm to those who are marching to their own drum beat.
What on earth are you mumbling about?
What am I saying? I walk to the beat of a different drummer.
Well, you certainly speak your own language.
Please, hand me my journal quickly. I walk to the beat.
Is this not the height of arrogance? To record your own words for the sole purpose of quoting yourself? I hate quotations.
Mr. Emerson, this is called writing. You have made a profession of the same arrogance.
This is on the brazen assumption anyone, anywhere would ever dare to quote Henry David Thoreau.
Again, you mock me.
I do nothing of the sort. But you are consumed with preserving your inanimate thought as though some kind of literary treasure. Your readings of pen to paper are hard read at best. There is no structure, no poetry, no story, just the gush of what you feel.
And isn't that exactly how we all think? You accuse my work of having no value.
As regards the marketplace, yes, I make such an accusation. How on earth will you live? Who will publish a book about walking in the woods when the woods surround us? Who, for that matter, will buy the damn thing? Nothing. I've written a book about nothing.
Nothing indeed. You offend me again, old friend. I am creating a pathway to our natural life for men trapped in the chaos of modern society. It's a map for our return to nature. Do not maps have a purpose in the marketplace?
You build pathways where no roads are needed. Where is the logic? Why put yourself through this?
Again, you imply I am an oddity. I would be more odd to sit down to write when I have not stood up to live.
You are talking to your beans, Henry.
My beans! Care for a bowl?
I'm famished, please. Wooden bowls, I assume you carved these yourself?
And the spoons from poplar and maple.
Here, fresh bread for my wife.
Oh, wonderful.
Seriously, Henry, you need a girlfriend. You're wound up tighter than my grandfather's clock.
But
And I do not want to hear another word about your woodpile. You and your woodpile, you realize I wasn't serious about hugging that tree. I wouldn't want to see you get overly attached.
don't be absurd or insulting at my own table.
Are you devoid of a sense of humor? I read that a sign of success is to laugh often and much.
Now I am without success.
You're without a woman.
I enjoy my solitude.
Why not be alone with a soft-dependent woman? You needn't marry the poor girl.
Solitude without morality is chaos. I am above morality. Be not simply good, be good for something.
My dear misguided friend, you do realize it takes two people to be immoral?
Now you accuse me of being immoral.
Of course not, but I would like to see you have, the potential.
All right. Do you want me to admit to my loneliness? I will. It is even agony at times. Is that what you wish to hear?
I just want what is best for my friend.
The nights are the longest, you know. So difficult. At night, I look beyond the stars, hoping to find God behind them, and I find no one. Each hour, every moment, it is excruciatingly quiet. The silence thunders to the point of actual pain.
Then why? Why are you doing this to yourself? This cabin in this woods, this pond for 2 years.
2 years, 2 months.
And 1 day. You have planted your feet here a long time. If traveling is a fool's paradise, you are indeed a wise man. Yet I am at such loss. You speak with such conviction regarding choices that cause you so much pain. I want to understand.
I don't know how to answer that. For a certainty, I am pulled here. There's something calling me, something in the soil, in the earth.
But, my brother, the world is full of soil and ponds and trees. You are consumed with a small raindrop in the midst of the floodwaters.
And every flood begins with that single raindrop, just as every drought begins with the single ray of the morning sun. I see the coming drought, because someday so much of this abundance shall be gone, and by our own doing.
How could that even be possible?
Can you not see? Can you not sense the loss? With every rail, every road, every bucket of mortar, we lose more and more of what we are as we search for what we will be. The horizon of society is changing, old friend. What once was a simple mountain and a sunrise is giving way to factories and rooftops. Can you not see it?
I see this. You cut a tree, another grows in its place. You cut the field, the grass returns. Is it not possible that you envision a battle where there is no war?
I see a battle where there is no victory. For people, for nature, for commerce.
How utterly depressing and bleak, and on such a lovely afternoon at Walden Pond. So then, man can build a coach, but you fear he has lost the ability to use his feet. What do your beans say about this impending industrial Armageddon?
Men are becoming tools of their tools. You mock me yet again.
Then I apologize. I actually agree with you. That is why I purchased these acres along Walden Pond, to save them from the axemen. I share your dream, young Henry.
Dreams. More like nightmares. I do see a dream that invades my sleep almost every night.
Tell me if reason has cherry lips, whatever it is.
I see the woods, I see this pond, but many years from now.
A dream of the future, tell me.
People, a sea of people. They creep closer to the woods, stripping the land, destroying it, ripping the solitude asunder. The noise is endless.
And then?
I see houses, I see factories, I see roads, Closer and closer, the noise of it all comes into these woods. I see them plowing the hillsides away and ripping these very woods apart.
And what happened?
The pond, these woods, suddenly saved.
Saved how?
By the song of a great eagle.
Have you gone mad?
Well, you asked and I told you.
You see the impending destruction of Walden Pond saved at the hand of a singing eagle? We're told by a man who speaks to its vegetables?
You should have known better.
All of a sudden, it's making perfect sense.
Joshua, my friend.
Evening, Mr. Henry. I didn't realize you had company.
This is my friend, Mr. Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Greetings to you, sir.
Ah, the writer. Just like Mr. Henry.
Not quite. I write books that people eventually read.
Oh, Mr. Henry is a fine writer. One day, the whole world will read his book. If he writes one, that is.
I must tend to my fireplace.
He talks to his broccoli.
I'm fully aware.
I've heard him. It's quite a conversation.
Mr. Joshua, do you live nearby?
Beyond the woods. I have a home outside Concord.
Family?
A lovely wife and 3 children.
And how did you come to know Henry?
I work for his father in the pencil shop. I stack the lumber for the lathe, sweep the floors, look after Henry, whatever needs to be done.
It seems Henry needs a lot of looking after.
Not really. He's quite self-sufficient. Mr. Henry needs a lady friend. Other than his woodpile, of course. He writes in it all the time. Day and night he does.
I would never admit it to his face, but really, it is fascinating. He writes so fluently and prolifically about his love for the earth and nature.
He doesn't tolerate people all that much. Oh, but love is his vegetation.
October is the month for painted leaves. We become more pensive in the twilight of the year. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined. As you simplify your life, the laws of the universe will be simpler. I once had a sparrow light upon my shoulder while I was hoeing in a garden, and I felt more distinguished by that than by any crown I could have worn.
Isn't that just lovely?
It is romantic, on many levels. Every man looks at his woodpile with affection. I love to have mine before my window. He really needs a girlfriend.
Or a good hobby, at least.
This should help me survive the evening. You two getting acquainted?
Splendidly.
We've been browsing through your journal.
Hope you don't mind, Henry. You truly are a gifted writer.
I suppose not. It's all simple notes. Nothing is edited, of course.
It reads well, much better than I assumed.
There, what a lovely fire.
Mr. Joshua, I've enjoyed our visit. Henry, I must be home to my wife.
Good of you to come by, really.
As a friend, I do wish you well, and you know I completely support you. Just don't be disappointed if others who someday read you are unavailable to your intent.
My old friend, I appreciate your counsel, but not even I am completely sure of my intent.
Well, it is evening. I must be off. A wife and supper awaits. Perhaps after a few years at this cabin, you'll miss the sound of another heartbeat.
Ooh, perhaps my sister. She loves broccoli and such. I can arrange an introduction.
I don't believe there's a woman alive that can tolerate or even attempt to understand this.
And no doubt it would be unfair to even ask. So there it is then. You're a man destined to live your life alone in these woods.
Not my life, not even a week more.
Mr. Henry?
All this talk of the relevance of my work. I never intended on living out my days here, and
I detect a change in the wind.
I've decided it is time. I shall prepare to gather my things and leave this cabin. Tomorrow, I am leaving Walden Pond. All poets and heroes emit their music at sunrise. To him whose elastic and vigorous thought keeps pace with the sun, the day is perpetual morning.
Good morning, Mr. Henry.
Joshua, drinking the wine at nature's morning table, I see.
Sorry, Mr. Henry. I don't drink. Not this early, anyways. Perhaps later at the pub.
Never mind. So why the visit so early in the day?
I love the way you play the flute.
Music. It's the true gauge which measures the current of our thoughts, the very undertow of our life stream. You cannot hear music and noise at the same time. Speaking of noise, why are you here?
You said you would be leaving the cabin, so I'm here to... You said you would be leaving the woods, so I'm here to help shutter the cabin.
So then, you came to fetch the splendor of my life at Walden Pond and carry me back to the city.
Your father sends his regards. Work has been busy at the pencil shop. I think he misses you.
I'm sure he misses my work.
A father's pride and all. Haven't you missed your family, living all the way out here and alone?
At times. My days here are lived by the same tick of the clock as anywhere else. I rise in the morning and rest under the same sunset as any man, or any king.
I suppose it's what you do with the in-between time that sets a man apart. Or who you spend it with. Or not.
And yet I am no different. I share the same spirit. I have the same connection to natural earth as anyone else.
For someone who prides himself on being the same, you certainly go out of your way to be different.
My contradiction to human nature is my balance with human nature.
Well, you're the only one I know who speaks the broccoli. Miss Rachel, you've come.
I've come as asked by Mr. Thoreau.
My father sent you?
Actually, it was my doing. I thought we could help prepare your return to the city. There you go. That was easy.
This is nonsense. Put my things back down. I'm not ready to up and leave just yet anyways.
What shall I tell your father?
I have more studying and thought. I must use my time to consider more of this earth than these woods. Stay if you wish. I must be off for a walk. It is pleasant to walk over the beds of these fresh, crisp, and rustling leaves. How beautifully they go to their graves.
What a completely peculiar man.
He's rather odd at times.
I've never met a man so thoroughly rude.
Oh, Mr. Henry is rude. Oh, Mr. Henry is rude. He's just a drummer who beats a drum he doesn't have differently than anyone else.
And what of this place? This is its own?
It is.
It's rudimentary and plain.
Simple may be a word.
All intelligence awakes with the morning, poetry and art, and the fairest of most memorable actions of all men come from such an hour. That is lovely. We are for the most part more lonely when among men than when we stay in our chambers. A man thinking or working is always alone. I love to be alone. I never found a companion that was so companionable as solitude. Such rubbish! And what of life, of family? Is this man devoid of love?
Only for people. He loves trees and birds and such.
A man cannot have a family only by loving trees.
Oh, I wouldn't underestimate Mr. Henry.
And what of this? I derive no pleasure from talking with a young woman simply because she has regular features. As if living alone in these woods made him go daft, or was he in such a state to begin with?
Miss Rachel, he's actually a very kind man. He has a deep heart and a deep spirit.
I'm not one to gossip, nor do I listen to such nonsense. But I've heard your Mr. Thoreau refuse the company of suitors, women suitors.
He doesn't tolerate people is all persuasions.
What does this man of solitude do for companionship then? Who does this man with such deep feelings express himself to?
Here now, Mr. Henry is very particular in how his vegetables are handled.
I've come to speak with Henry.
He left Mr. Emerson. He's off in the woods with his flute and notebook.
And who is this?
Rachel Stewars. Miss Rachel Stewars. From Mr. Thoreau's shop.
Do I dare ask if you're a friend of Henry's?
Not yet.
We just met this morning, and then he left.
You speak as though that disturbs you.
I've come all this way into these woods to assist, and the man barely greeted me.
He was just normal, just being Henry.
Are you not under Mr. Thoreau's employ? You have no valid complaint. Here, your move.
Excuse me, sir. I do not sell my fence so easily.
My goodness, such spirit.
She has a high-priced mood, obviously.
And what was Henry's reaction to the young woman?
He left.
Splendid, he likes her.
That would make Miss Rachel the first breathing thing he's liked in years.
Perhaps so. I must speak to Henry. Which direction did he go?
To the pond, I think. Follow the sound of the flute and the non-banging drum. Do not think that you have companions. Know instead that you are alone in the world. Poor Mr. Henry. I thought you left for town.
I have a job to do, so I'll do exactly as instructed by my employer. I certainly don't need a man's coin to fulfill my obligation.
Oh, he didn't mean anything by it, really.
Why do men assume their thoughts transcend other people's feelings?
A man works differently, my dear. He executes his thoughts unencumbered by emotions.
And a woman will express her feelings freely?
Often without thinking.
So I'm wrong for being angry?
No, being angry was your honest reaction. You were only wrong for thinking you had reason to.
I completely disagree. What do you honestly find disagreement with? And why do you put me to the test? And there is no way you can convince me that the spread of cities does not matter.
Why object to progress as though it is a bad thing?
Progress without balance is a bad thing.
But progress by its very nature causes imbalance. To deny imbalance denies progress.
And only man struggles with this imbalance. It is against nature. When a beaver builds a dam, it does not harm the stream. When a bird builds a nest, it causes no injury to the forest.
Because birds and beavers exist within the boundaries created for them. They do not cause progress. Only man has the intellect by nature to cause progress.
How can you possibly deny man's destructive role in nature? His lack of love for this earth. To leave it unchecked will eventually lead to the destruction of man.
And how can you deny that destruction is an essential part of creation?
Nonsense!
Is this emotion or expressive mere thought?
Look at your own life, Henry.
Me? I destroy nothing. I do not even begin to imply the natural gleaning of the earth as destruction.
Did you or did you not come to these woods and this pond to study the value of nature and your place in it?
I did.
And did you not destroy a small part of these very woods to build this cabin so you could have a place to reside while in nature?
It is not the same.
It's exactly the same.
My cabin is not comparable to the spread of a city.
It is merely the first building. There is no difference.
Read my work. I document the difference clearly.
Your father cuts down the trees to make the pencils that you used to write about how much you loved the trees.
Again, my redundant friend, it is part of the natural gleaning of the earth.
That is called progress. A few short years ago, we wrote with charcoal and a quill pen. Not a single oak would fall. Now we cut down trees to make pencils and employ your family. Progress.
So I shall use the tools of progress to expose the sin of progress.
Then you, sir, are a hypocrite.
I beg your pardon.
Mr. Henry, she's expressing her thoughts. There are no... She's expressing her emotions. There are no thoughts involved.
That sounded very thoughtful to me. Explain yourself.
You, sir, are a blind hypocrite.
What a delightful woman.
You write so eloquently about the emotion of your place in nature, but you refuse to express the emotions you need to understand what nature is for. You write of the value of nature, when all the while you disobey your natural needs, rendering your place on earth as no value at all. It is as though you were never here.
What?
Mr. Thoreau, I would like to introduce you to a living, breathing woman with a point of view.
Don't be frightened, Mr. Henry.
You read my essay on civil disobedience?
I did, at your father's pencil shop.
And you read through my notebooks?
I have.
Good God, a customer. And yet you conclude he is a hypocrite? When skating over thin ice, my dear, your safety is in your speed. I would quickly clarify yourself.
You are a hypocrite, but not a fool.
Not a fool. I am suddenly to feel complimented?
I didn't find your hypocrisy without wisdom. Although you're blind to your role of destruction, you are not wrong about man's imbalance.
Well, there you have it. My life's work has been validated by my father's cleaning woman.
Maybe the idea of balance is not altogether inappropriate. Perhaps the idea of balance can bring perspective to this argument.
In what way?
Maybe it means that man destroys a little as part of his nature. He just shouldn't destroy too much.
Exactly, well said.
And cities, therefore, are the too much that causes the imbalance.
Cities are part of the natural progress of men, like an ocean wave. The wave moves onward, but the water of which it is composed is not. Again, natural. The greater the destruction, the greater the progress.
There is nothing natural about it. Why do you equate destruction with progress?
Here, you garden these?
Yes.
You harvest them?
Yes.
You destroy them by pulling them. You destroy them by cooking them. Is not a farm nothing more than a small city?
A farm in itself does not decimate the land.
No more so than a city.
Factories,
Plows,
smokestacks,
fireplaces and chimneys,
garbage,
manure and leftovers,
noise,
children,
confusion,
marriage.
I beg your pardon!
Oh dear, I sense imbalance.
That wasn't meant.
That was meant exactly as spoken. All this talk of imbalance as though it's balanced man speaking.
Now we are not balanced.
Love for the earth without loving the life this earth provides you is unbalanced, and it renders you irrelevant.
Not bad for a cleaning woman.
My employee does not alter my thoughts, sir.
And your thoughts do not alter my experience.
Your experience has been to isolate yourself in a cabin so far from real life that you can only write of the reflection of what true life has to offer.
True life is no more reflected by society than your image on the waters of Walden Pond.
Are not the stars reflecting on the pond at night actually the stars?
You are so lost in the image of the stars, you do not see society creeping up to take the pond away. Where are your stars then? Where is your reflection of real life once the pond is gone? Your life is no more real than a dying fish left behind on the dry waterbed.
At least the fish didn't die alone in a cabin talking to his vegetables.
Many go fishing all their lives without knowing it's not fish they're after. What exactly, madam, irritates you so about me?
Because I cannot for the life of me understand why you come to this cabin and write about a life you are not living.
To the contrary, I have found the essence of life in the simplicity of it.
You confuse isolation with simplicity.
And you, my dear woman, confuse isolation with simply not wanting to be with you.
Well, the temperature in this cabin has certainly dropped on this autumn evening. Evening is coming. Let me light a candle.
I apologize if my honesty left an inappropriate or dishonorable impression.
I did not come to these woods just to squalor in my solitude, as if it is some lonely crown. And I did not want to waste 2 years and 2 months of a fleeting life in some empty fog with no purpose. And I did not come here just to write. I came to these woods because I wished to live deliberately, to strip life down to the barest of essentials and see if I couldn't learn what life had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discovered that I had not lived at all. I came to Walden Pond to discover my life, not abandon it. And only then to write about what I truly, passionately believed, to write about what I truly lived, to write so that people, my friends, would also live simply and honestly.
My friend, the world is yet simple. Your cries of simplicity fall on deaf ears.
Even so, the rumbling of the coming industrial storm grows louder. The thunder of the coming change will not be felt along the shores of Walden Pond alone. It will be global. England, France, Germany, and beyond. The forests will be replaced by factories. The woods will be plowed under and covered over by warehouses.
Perhaps the clouds beyond the distant lightning are not clouds at all. The oceans of smoke from the cities.
It's just hard to see when, everything around us looks just fine. The woods along Walden Pond in September are so lovely after all. I don't hear no thunder, and I don't see no lightning. And the only rumbling sounds are from my tummy with no supper.
I didn't mean to be rude or accused, but to speak honestly, as you say.
It takes two to speak the truth, one to speak and another to listen. I have listened.
Then so shall I.
And we are all friends here. Let's hug.
I do not need a hug. I need relief from this incessant arguing.
It is not arguing, Henry, but a test of your convictions, a test of your passion.
A test, and why?
Because to be great is to be misunderstood, and I believe you have done a great thing. Of course I agree with you. That is why I bought these acres of land along Walden Pond. That is why I gladly offered this spot in the woods to you. But do you believe in this yourself? Do you believe in your heart the value of what you have done? Hear me, my friend. Once you leave this place, everything you believe in will be ripped apart and judged by men with smaller minds.
Or held in their highest esteem.
I don't need their approval.
Whatever you do, you be encouraged. Whatever course you decide upon, there's always someone of lesser will to tell you that you are wrong.
Or fools that tempt you to believe your critics are right.
No one ever erected a statue in honor of a critic.
And I would argue your degree of greatness will be measured to the extent that you are rejected. Remember, Socrates, Luther, Galileo, every pure and wise spirit that ever walked this earth can use everyone around them.
So my hypocrisy has turned into confusion. In turn, my future and my work will be understood by no one. And what of my time in this cabin at this pond? Have I, in fact, wasted 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days of my life?
To be great is to be misunderstood. Hitch your wagon to the start, my boy. What you write, what you believe, the road your passions have traveled will be understood someday.
Then you can see it. You can feel it too.
I can. Some can. Most will not. The majority will ignore it in favor of the material comforts. But if we pause for a moment, if we bend down on a humble knee and truly gaze upon the brilliance of the tiniest life in our hands, we can use what you have written as a magnifying glass to peer deep into the simplicity of life's beauty. I believe, in all my heart, Henry, the world will one day recognize this beauty.
But not now.
Not now, my friend. That's why I say someday. Writing will have impact and purpose someday.
And if that someday arrives at a moment well beyond my lifetime, what of my words? What of my writing in journals?
Rest your words regarding your love and respect for this earth in the care of those who love and respect you. Let your work rest in the protection of your friends who believe in you. The most striking part of any day is to encounter a mind that has startled us. What you have done, what you are writing, will startle for many for generations to come.
Much is published, but so little printed. An honest book is the noblest work of man. Unfortunately, I am imprisoned by the narrowness of my experience. So be it, it is done then.
To my house, all, for supper and celebration.
Here, leave me my flute and notebook. One last moment for reflection, and I will follow.
My dear Henry, in the end, always last and always long.
Ah, the beauty of the last hour of the day. I do believe this earth is the mother of all creatures. As surely as the sunset shall translate me to the ethereal world, as surely as the last strain of music which falls on my ear shall make age be forgotten, so surely my friend shall forever be my friend, and reflect a ray of God to me.
Henry David Thoreau left the beauty of the woods after spending 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days of his life alone in his cabin at Walden Pond. Eventually his notes were published, but his book, Walden, sold only a few copies. Thoreau was buried 14 years later on a quiet wooded hillside near Walden Pond. His friend and mentor, Ralph Waldo Emerson, took it upon himself to collect Henry's writings and preserve the reputation of Thoreau and his most unread and unpublished works. Today, Henry David Thoreau is the forefather of the global green movement and the most quoted writer in American history. Now I'm going to introduce you to our actors and actresses. We have Joshua Barnett, played by Nick Foster. We have Rachel Stewart, played by Kana Raymer. We have Ralph Waldo Emerson, played by Megan Foster. And Henry David Thoreau, played by Kaylin McClure.